Good morning. Well, good evening in your neck of the woods. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Uh, how is everyone doing today? We'll be reading Daniel 6. Welcome back to another session of Christian ethics. And we'll be looking into the life of Daniel and the very famous story where he was thrown into the lions. Now, there's not much to say. Well, for me, there's not much to say about it other than what constitutes in that entire chapter of Daniel. And my pastor had a sermon about it, where Daniel was uh, consistent throughout. Throughout, and here we see that no matter what the world throws back at you, are you going to stay consistent? Are you going to remain faithful in God? Are you not going to break character? Because Daniel was a man beyond reproach. Like he was just like a very consistent man who served God and did his work faithfully. So, to get more into that, we're going to open scripture from Daniel 6. I just need to whip out my KJV Bible. And we open Daniel 6. Stay tuned for Thursday because I will be pointing out how Numbers 5 is not a good place to leverage uh, arguing for pro choice. But that will be coming Thursday. And to be honest, I don't have a lot of time because I have to do some studying too. But don't worry, I will allow for open forum. So let me just whip out Daniel for a bit, the book of Daniel. In the sixth chapter, where I expound on his moral consistency, his character. So here we are. 6:1. So I'm going to share that. Cooperate with me. Okay, there we go. All right. So if you guys just checking if you guys can see it. Okay, here we go. All right. So chapter 6. Now this is the famous story where Daniel got thrown into the lion's den. So let's go. Hang on. Sorry guys, I have to take this for a bit. Hang on. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I was also uh, sending a link to others who might want to chime in here. So here we have chapter 6 of Daniel. So let's do our reading. This here we are giving attendance to reading God's word under the chapter under the book of Daniel, chapter 6. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these three presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion nor fault. So you see here already, we find out that Daniel's detractors are trying to find fault, trying to find something to point at to destroy Daniel. Like Daniel did nothing to these people, but because these people hated Daniel, they're just so filled with hatred for Daniel. They go on and decide to take it into their own hands to dig dirt to Daniel, to dig dirt for Daniel in order that he be taken out of his high position of high regard. However, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. Wow, a man beyond reproach. Then said these men, we will not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Interesting, because that's exactly what happens later on. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains, have consulted together to establish a royal statute. Hmm. Some new law, some decree, some new mandate. Yeah. So that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save you, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. So you see, and whosoever shall ask any petition of any god or man for 30 days, except you, O king Darius, you will be cast to the den of lions. So this was this bologna sandwich of a rule in order to overthrow Daniel in his position. That is the idea as to why he said, to why his detractors said, we can't find any fault in Daniel, so we have to concoct something concerning his God or concerning his worship to his own God. And there afterwards, they assembled around the king and started suggesting to the king, hey, why don't you execute this kind of decree? After all, you are the great king. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians. Okay, so that is the standard that they hold to, which altereth not. Exactly. So this is the standard that they hold to. Now the thing is, funny thing is that they like it because they need this to be unaltered. They want to show that the Medo-Persian Empire was a consistent bunch, and knowing that, this is at first this is good for them because this it's like there is no way that Daniel could skedaddle out of this because whether Daniel likes it because whether they like it or not, Daniel will always pray to God, and he's been doing that ever since he was captured. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. So the king said yes. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day, and prayed, and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. Now, the funny thing about this is that When Daniel went to pray to his God, like he opened his windows and prayed to God. And then he knew about the new decree, this BS decree that his detractors made possible by by sucking up to the king. But Daniel didn't. No, the logical thing to do is that Daniel should have just closed his windows and prayed in secret. Jesus prayed in secret. But here you have Daniel, and according to my pastor, where he gives a source, I think the guy's name was John Wardford. John Warford here says that since he has been opening his windows and windows that face toward Jerusalem and prayed to God, he awaited the day that he would return to Jerusalem, his fair city. So he was that faithful too. He just wasn't faithful in work. He was also faithful, waiting for that day that he will be delivered and he will return to his beloved land, Jerusalem. And he loved the Lord God so much. So, sorry. Daniel could have done the logical thing of closing the windows and started praying. But Daniel was a man of character. He was also a man of honor, too. He prayed this, a man of honor and consistency, too. He prayed the same way ever since until the time of the decree, where if you prayed to any other god or man except King Darius or to give homage, well, Daniel didn't seem to mind. That's what he's been doing ever since, and he remained honorable. He remained a man of honor. He honored God and he honored his beloved land. So, either way, he kept those windows open. Now, then they came. Hang on, let me remove this one properly. But no, there you go. See, consistent both in honor, his faith to God, and his service, even while his time in Babylon, which is now the Medo-Persian Empire. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Yes, I did sign that decree. And the Medo-Persian law does not think twice about it. We do it. Okay, so here we are. Then they answered and said before the king, that Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not you, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. Look, king, look, we signed this decree. No one was to give homage or petition or thanks or praise to you, to anyone else but you. And here you have Daniel just praying to his God. Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased. He was mad. He was mad at Daniel for doing something quote unquote innocent. It's not like he dishonored the king, but because of this decree, his detractors managed to vilify him. They could not find any fault in his repertoire. So the one thing they did was to get him to pray to his God, which is fine, but they criminalized it in a way. So what Daniel's detractors did, he vilified the guy. And that is like one of the scummiest things that anyone could do. If you can't slander, then you vilify the guy so that your narrative will be much more and more. I mean, if you can't find any fault to gossip, then what you will do is vilify the man or anyone with the idea of defamation is a man with the motive to retaliate, to hate. And I don't mean retaliate in a general sense. Like, he just wants to see that person burn. Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased. He was he was mad with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men assembled unto the king and said unto the king, Now, O king, no, sorry, know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is that no decree nor statute which the king established may be changed. That is correct, because that is correct. That is the standard of which both Daniel and his detractors and the king himself is being held to. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. Now I don't know if he. Now going back here, I don't know if sore displeased. So it's either he was angry or mad with Daniel, or he was just sorrowful that he has no choice but to do this. I mean, because Daniel was set at the highest, so it appeared that in his mind he was like, Daniel, like, you are such a man of high position and high regard, and yet you do this. To me, this looks more like disappointment now, like just giving it a second look. Which I will open a commentary for. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel, and they brought Daniel, and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet, even the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and he slept, and he slipped. No, sorry, can't read right now. And his sleep went from him. So this kind of thing kept him awake. This 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 utter disappointment kept him awake. Like, it pained him to bring his highly regarded interpreter to the den of lions. Disappointment, and it made him sad that he had no choice but to do it because, hey, the law must be strict and consistent, and it pained him to do this. So the king was basically very depressed here. There was no music. It was just fasting, no music, no festivity or anything, and he couldn't sleep because of that. But in the midst of that, then the king arose very early in the morning. Oh, actually, he did sleep. My bad. Then the king arose very early in the morning and went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God, whom thou servest continually, able to deliver thee from the lions? Surprise! Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My God hath sent his angel, and hath shut the lion's mouth, that they have not hurt me, for as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee. O king, have I done no hurt? Wow. Look at this. God and somehow the king understood that David did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. Wow. This made the king ecstatic. This made King Darius ecstatic. Then was the king exceeding glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. It's not just a matter of belief. It's not just a gamble in faith. Like, he had trust, he remained consistent, he honored what he honored his God. And look, I mean, for all we know, the hungry lions were, instead of dismembering him and eating him and eating his flesh, they were probably snuggling with him. But here comes the latter. And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives, and the lions had the mastery of them. Wow. Daniel's detractors and everything they had were fed to the lions. Look at that. Hey, the decree doesn't change. So if you hold Daniel to the same standard, letting you off the hook would make you guys bigots. Heck, it would even make the king a bigot. But no. Since you guys are about the consistency and the glory of the Medo-Persian Empire, you will honor that decree by being fed to the lions. And those hungry lions wasted nothing. They spared nothing. They ate everything that his detractors and the people they know, they left no they left nothing. They ate them whole. Then King Darius wrote unto all people, nations and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth, who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lions, but not his detractors. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius, and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. Wow, look at that! Everything worked well with Daniel. I mean, I even think that he wasn't even defending himself against his detractors. All he did was just take it to the Lord. Here you have a man of integrity, a man of etiquette, ethics, honor, and remain faithful to God. All the years of him being under the service of serving the Babylonian Empire, just awaiting the day that he could return to Jerusalem. He has remained consistent even in his work. They found no fault on Daniel. Now sources say that he was only 18 when he was doing this. So he was an interpreter of Nebuchadnezzar and Darius ever since. Under the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, he was just 18 when he was asked to be an interpreter. And then ever since that day, he remained consistent even until now, under the reign of King Darius. And ever since that day, when he was captured and served under King Nebuchadnezzar until now, he remained faithful to his God. Because earlier in this book, Nebuchadnezzar tried to erase everything about Jerusalem concerning Daniel and Meshach and his other friends. But you know what he replied to the king? I'm going to serve you, but please do not allow me to compromise my God, to make compromise with my God, or to my God. The king honored it, and he was still a faithful servant. And look how that all paid off when the lions did not devour Daniel. And here you have Darius telling the Medo-Persian Empire, serve the God of Daniel, serve the God of Jerusalem. Look how this beautifully just pays off. While his detractors get to be eaten by lions. So, in here, Daniel's God is being praised, and Daniel prospered also. So he is hearing the cheer of the population, while his detractors and everyone and everything they possess are hearing the roaring of the lions. A fitting end, isn't it? You know what this verse reminds me of? You know what this whole happening reminds me of? Reminds me of that verse that goes, "Judge not, lest ye be judged, for you shall be measured by that which you judge." So if you're detract, so if these guys are gonna make a decree and say the Medo-Persian law is consistent, strict to the core, it will never compromise. No, what they didn't know, however, is that that same standard that they used to vilify Daniel, that was held against him too. So there was that overtone of self righteousness, thinking that they are without sin. Uh, he was in the den of lions or the lion's den. It's the same thing. You send him in a den where there is a lion or more. Like the idea was he was to be devoured, okay? But he didn't. But in the KJV, it is rendered as den of lions, and that's closest to the original. However, the story remains. Daniel honored the king, and he honored God too. Render to Caesar what is to Caesar's. Yeah, you're right, Dave. It's not the same thing. So I like how the KJV renders it. It's a den of lions. Nevertheless, Daniel was not eaten by these lions. Render to Caesar's what is to Caesar's. Render to God what is to God. Paul gives us this value to honor the magistrate. What is for the magistrate? All right, hang on. Romans. Just gonna go back. I will be addressing those accounts. Romans 13. See, let every soul be subject unto their higher powers. In their time, that's called the magistrate instead of the government. For there is no power but of God, the powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God, in that they resist shall receive to themselves damnation. Not damnation in a sense will you be sent to hell, but you will be damned for your crimes. I've read the commentary and the hermeneutics of this one. This is not a salvific issue. The word damnation here is that you will be condemned for your wrong acts, and your sin will, defamate you. Yeah, for sure. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Yes. They're not a terror to those who are law abiding, who do good, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? If you intend to do this, do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that whoever sits in the government is that ordained of God. Like, if you have, let's say, Joe Buddy Biden just ruining the country, then how could you make some sort of an inference that that he is like a godsend. But I'm not going to say the same thing for Trump, because although Trump did a good idea, I can't be brought to the point where there's this idea of Trumpism. But if he's doing a good work, then I wouldn't say he's a godsend, but let's just say he's doing good. He's doing what's right for the country. But that back in the day, yeah, I believe Trump was doing good. That was it. Anyone who is to destroy the law or abuse the law, that's not a godsend. So Daniel was able to honor two things. It's not that he was serving two masters, but he knew where to put it. But he knew where to put things in the right place. If you have to honor the law, then go ahead and honor the law. If you're going to do things that honoreth God, then do honoreth God. But this does not mean that you honor every law, because any law or anything, I mean, bad things are even being made legal. So the idea is that you are told to do what is lawful to the magistrate, and that of which honors the magistrate or the government. That is God's command. But under your authority and under the law which you intend to abuse, if you're going to ask me to do something scummy, well, I tell you, sir, that is no longer lawful. And God has a law that you will not blaspheme the Lord. You shall not be ashamed, and then you will not. I mean, that's what Daniel did. He stood for what he believed in. He did not compromise. He did not. He did not. He did not. There's a term for that. Uh, he did not walk away from the Lord. He stood up for him, and he didn't bother to even defend himself against his detractors. He was both a man of integrity to God and to King Darius. From the Babylonian rule to the Medo-Persian rule, he has remained consistent and faithful. They could find no fault in his record. So there is that honor to the magistrate, and there's also that honoring to God. And he honors God here by showing proper etiquette and ethics. He is a man of integrity. He didn't do anything scummy under any rule. He remained faithful. He stayed consistent in his job, and because of his character, he he was regarded highly. While at the same time, that itself showing proper integrity and ethics, he's showing character. Good, grateful, and sunburned. Praise God. Thank you for asking. Where are you running, Shannon? Oh, basement's here. Hey, basement. I am not in here with you. You're in here with me. I will be posting the link soon for people to get in. So, hello, Gavin. Good to see you. So, here you have both Daniel's faith and integrity tried, but Daniel stood strong and endured. And what do you know? He rose from the lion's den unscathed. He rose from the lion's den unscathed. And after that, and at that result, the Medo-Persian Empire started to honor God because of what he has done for Daniel. Through his integrity and proper demonstration of etiquette and ethics, which is a show of discipline, self-control, and of that of good character, that of which also glorifies God. Daniel didn't just prosper, but God was also exalted at a pagan city. And that's a beautiful way to end it. And that is how you handle your detractors. Let them run their mouth. You know who you are. God knows who you are. And your detractors have no idea or don't even know half of what you truly are. All they can do is vilify you, which is a testimony that they don't know you. Okay, now I'll be opening the link for anyone who wants to share their thoughts in the matter. I mean, there's not much to say, but but Daniel is like, Daniel is like the poster boy for work ethics. I'll give him that. So the link is in the description. If you want to get in and share your thoughts, do so. Do so. So that was Daniel, folks. There's not much exposition to do. I mean, Daniel was just an was just a man of honor. And even in the midst of his service, serving under a pagan city, he remained faithful to the Lord and he was delivered. Why didn't you come up, Shannon? I don't. I mean, if there's anybody who is more eloquent than me, that would be Scotty. Scotty. Right now he's tired and I don't think he can join. Dave, maybe you want to come up here. Gavin, maybe you want to come up here. All right, then consider this now as quote unquote open hangout. Anything goes here. You want to also want to add more biblical stuff, or you want to add into the conversation. You like a good discussion? Then get in. Oh, it appears that somebody's about to get in because the views just dropped. Shannon's a shy gal. Or she probably, or I don't know, maybe you just don't have anything else to add. So that's how you deal with your detractors, folks. Let them run their mouth. Let them falsely accuse. Because they're the kinds of people who, they're the kinds of people who Oh, come on, Shannon. I'm not that smart. I mean, I appreciate the compliment, but you're too kind. And second, I I mean when I'm reading commentary and I summarize it, all I'm doing is regurgitating what they've already said. I'm not doing my own individual exposition. But I do appreciate the compliment, but still, you don't you're too kind. You're too kind, gal. You're too kind. Glad I hide in in a sunburn. Uh, well, at least it's not a den of lions. And if you do, then you must be the new Lion King in your basement. Hello, Christian Carpenter. Sorry, I missed you there. Yeah, we were just talking about Daniel. I mean, you were here for the meat of all of it. You were here for the meat of it. That's good. That's good. Once again, folks, the link is pinned. You can come in if you like or not. It's a den of meow 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 meow. You know what? There is like a video that for me it ages well. A video that Basement made. So I just to extend the video the stream, I just want to go take a look at that. Please don't file a copyright. I don't want my videos to be, you know. Hang on. Hang on. There we go. The Lost Pokey memes. Here we are. Oh my stream my screen isn't being shared yet, but all right then. So this actually gives me the time to go back and suck Smokey's dick. Hang on. I'm gonna. So yeah, there's a video that Basement made that just ages very well for me. So just absorb what Basement is trying to convey here.
Go back and suck Smokey's dick because that's what you're good at. That's all. I usually don't feel shame over my content.
Okay, interjectory wise, I made that, and the meme next to it. I I made that. I made that meme. I mean, it was that time where I was still emasculated and agitated, so I just decided to make stuff like that. Okay. You know, I intended to actually make a Squidward themed meme, but when this just came out, I mean, I didn't put Bill's face in it, but but when I saw the meme in its original form, it was just, I mean, it looked like Bill, but it's not Bill at all. Well, it's not Bill himself. But here we have Basement and his awesome innovations. Okay, moving on. And yeah, what's beautiful about this is that this was the entirety of the video now. They were just waiting. Oh, and there goes that cat giving you that abrasive cunt look. This was the entire meat of the video now. And they were just waiting for a quote unquote expose. So it's kind of like they never act. It's like it's telling me that they never caught the guy. They didn't. Well, Andy did tell me that they were that he and his wife were at a 5-star hotel, telling me that things are going well, and me, I'm just sulking in my totally exposed to that window. Oh, you guys are nuts. I love you. I love you both. You too, Shannon. You too. You're pretty. You're pretty sharp on takes too. No doubt about it. It does look like a nice place, and you have cars there. It's a very eco-friendly area looking thing. I mean, look at, you got trees and stuff like that. And upon closer inspection, that is an adorable cat. Right. So, well, again, the link is posted in the side chat. Anybody want to come in? Feel free to do so. There was five a while ago. Totally exposing that one. Yeah, so Basement Dweller's cat is Smokey. That's his name. Be careful. They might use it to dox me. Right. Yeah, that is, yeah, that is why I had to close the video now, because they might just do some hardcore NSI tracking by just using that photo. But anyhow, so hang on. There's also another part of scripture that I want to pull up. Oh no, actually, I don't. I don't. But I do have a upcoming video on June 21 where uh, I will be comparing the events of First Samuel chapter 15 to the Japanese regime and them just adapting to their hedonistic culture. So all I'm gonna do is show you what I've collected as far. I mean, this was a long time ago, but what I want to do here is just show you what I've been collecting so far, and we'll be reading some commentary. Yeah, I promised you guys some commentary, so yeah. Yeah, well, I don't want to. I don't want to dox any. I don't want to end up doxing. Yeah, they walk by. Of course they do. All right, so I just want to show you what it looks like, and I could use this as uh, the basis for my comparison. I mean, Bible Hub just has incredible sources made available to us in the public for those who really want to learn and get into the meat of cultural context, hermeneutics. It's just there. I also want to use the software Dave is using when it comes to the Bible because it has a lot of biblical cross referencing and some lexicography too. Guzik's commentary is also good. So before we get into the reading of that commentary, let me just pull up that particular. Hang on, what is it here? 15:3. Let's read 1 2. Let's read that from 1 2. Yeah. Let's read from just 1 to 7 before they set off to war. So, mm-hmm. Hang on. Let me stop that. Let me stop sharing that. And I'm going to open this one. First Samuel chapter 15. We'll just read from there until afterwards they set off to war. Because this is the one chapter that I think that our non-believing counterparts would attempt to leverage and profane our holy God. So here we have First Samuel also no okay First Samuel chapter 15, and it says here, Samuel also said unto Saul, The Lord sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore hearken thou unto the voice of the words of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel. See how he laid in wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt. So basically, the Amalekites ambushed a traveling Israel before they could establish one particular land, or the land of honey. So before Israel was a city, Amalek ambushed them. And to go in further, now go and smite Amalekite and utterly destroy all they have and spare them not. So this is an entire uh, total mass killing of everybody. But that's debatable because I used to because I say stuff like because I say something like Amalekites are Amalekites, but not all Amalekites are Amalekites because the Amalekites are a nomadic tribe. They travel. So it is safe to say that some of them might have remained, moved to another, or settled in another city, and most of them being in Petra, where it's a nation with the multitude. And Petra is that same place where it is said that Muhammad, the prophet, was born in. So, utterly destroy or kill everyone is kind of debatable here because you have other sources of some Amalekites leaving their tribe and being somebody else now. I mean, they're Amalekites in origin, but they're now adopting to another culture. So, going further, but slay both man, woman, infant, and suckling, oxen, sheep, camel, and ass. And Saul gathered the people together and numbered them in Telaim, 200,000 footmen and 10,000 men of Judah. And Saul came to a city of Amalek and laid wait in the valley. Ah, so they did establish at one point, or maybe they were traveling, they found a city to pillage on, and then they found them there and started wrecking them. But I will go into further research with this one. Came to a city of Amalek. So I guess I guess like around the my assumption would be around the radius where the Canaanites are. So here we are. So this is the verse. Okay, so this is where they go off to war now. They went to squall with the Amalekites. Now, what I'm going to do is open the commentary. Now, it may seem cruel here, but but what I know is that this is what the Amalekites ask for because of their continual uh, murder, rape, and pillaging, and you'll see why as we go in with the commentary. So I'm going to open that up, and this is what I've collected so far. I'm reading this before. I mean, I'm going to take also the time to read the commentary also and put the ones that are really, really hard hitting. I mean, I could put them all. I mean, they're all good commentary, but let's just say I want the ones that hit a lot and are more practical. So here we have First Samuel 15:3. So a clear radical command: destroy Amalek, everyone who is still an Amalekite. But remember, Amalekites are Amalekites, but not all Amalekites are Amalekites. Samuel also said to Samuel, yeah, we read this one. We'll punish Amalek for what he did to Israel, kill every infant and nursing child. Letter. So item A says, according to Guzik's commentary, he says, uh, this was a message from the spiritual leader of Israel to the political and military leader of Israel. The message was clear: punish what Amalek did to Israel. So this is not revenge. This was just meeting the ends of the law. Utterly destroy all that they have, and do not spare them. Do not spare them judgment. I guess do not spare them from the judgment. Show no partiality. Do meet what is due. God clearly told Samuel to tell Saul to bring a total judgment against the Amalekites. Hmm. This makes it controversial because spare them not is a very wide, broad, and vague term. What does that mean? So spare them. So here we have Guzik telling us judge the Amalekites, spare them not the judgment. Like give them what is meet, give them what is due to them severely, because this is what they ask for. They commit a crime, they should be dealt with, and this is fair. So that in mind, it's telling us that this isn't absolutely or conclusively genocide. But other pastors and scholars would say, yeah, he did kill everybody. So moving on, because that's a controversy where they're still debating on that one. But I but if there were remaining Amalekites from origin, but they're not Amalekites anymore, then it's not genocide. I mean, whoever was still walking with the Amalekites, I mean, in their heart, they're Amalekite. So yeah, uh, those among the peoples, they were not spared from the judgment. I mean, some of them might have even escaped. I mean, it is a it is a desert after all. I mean, anything could happen. They could retreat. Like it's not like that everybody was just sitting in one place waiting to be killed. I mean, if you were in the face of danger, you'd run. But I will find more sources. I'm just here speculating. So let's continue. So one, utterly destroy. This Hebrew verb heherim is used 7 times in this account. The idea of total, complete judgment is stressed. Yes, no partiality, no mercy. give to them what is due. Item letter B, how he laid wait for him and the way he came up from Egypt. This explains why the Amalekites should be judged so completely. Centuries before, the Amalekites were the first people to attack Israel after their escape from Egypt. Scummy, rough. Hundreds of years before, the Lord said he would bring this kind of judgment against Amalek. Then the Lord said to Moses, write this for a memorial in the book and recount it in the hearing of Joshua, that I will utterly blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar and called its name, The Lord is my banner. For he said, because the Lord has sworn, the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. Sorry, I paused there. I was about to sneeze. Exodus 17, and this is found in Exodus chapter 17, verses 14 to 16. Deuteronomy 25, 17 to 19 repeats this idea. So let's open that up. And we have, what's this? Deuteronomy. Yeah, 25, 17 to 19. It's not opening. Hang on. My bad, folks. My bad. So Deuteronomy chapter 25, verses 17 to 19. I'm reading from the King James Version. So remember what so Deuteronomy 25, 17 to verse 19. Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way when you were come forth out of Egypt, how he met you by the way and smote the hindmost of you, even all that were feeble behind you, when thou wast faint and weary, and he feared not God. Therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy God hath given thee rest from all thine enemies round about, in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. Thou shalt not forget it. So their judgment has already been brought to account. And Deuteronomy indeed, Deuteronomy indeed, uh, and Exodus in parallel do tell us that God does not forget your wrongdoings. Not in a sense where He remembers it. Like in the New Testament, He says, "Their iniquities I will remember not." It does not mean that He doesn't. He does not mean He won't remember what you did. It's just that He will disregard that now because there is this working in the Holy Spirit in you, trying to make you look innocent. And when God looks at you and you have Jesus in your heart, God doesn't look at your sinful nature, but He looks at the perfection of His Son. So through life, there is Jesus Christ. Item number 2. The Amalekites committed a terrible sin against Israel. When the nation was weak and vulnerable, the Amalekites attacked the weakest and most vulnerable of the nation. They did this for no reasons except violence and greed. Now, granting if God did do genocide, why shouldn't He? You told Him that He doesn't deal with evil, but when He deals with evil, you don't like it. You clearly know what the Amalekites are doing, and then you're saying God is a moral monster. Need I remind you, folks, that God didn't wake up one day and just said, the Amalekites, I want them gone. The Amalekites from way before were already stacking judgment for themselves because of their murder, rape, and pillage lifestyle. This was their culture. And if you think these people are deplorable, why shouldn't they be wiped off on the face of the earth? Why shouldn't God intervene? Since you guys just like to say, "Oh, God is evil." That is duplicitous if I ever heard it. God hates it when the strong take cruel advantage over the weak. You see? Look at that. He hates it when the strong take cruel advantage over the weak, especially when the weak are his people. Ah, the apple of his eye. Don't you dare fuck with God's people. You don't. Do not. Item number three. Though this happened more than 400 years before, see what I mean? God still held it against the Amalekites because time does not erase sin before God. Yes, God is infinite, so he'll infinitely remember it. He won't forget it. Among men, time should erase sin, and the years should make us more forgiving to one another. But before God, time cannot atone for sin. See? Only the blood of Jesus Christ can erase sin, not time. Yes, correct. In fact, it was time that the Amalekites were mercifully given opportunity to repent, and they did not repent. Yes, somewhere in Isaiah, God says, I do not wish to kill people. All I want to do is turn from their wicked. All I want them to do is turn from their wicked ways. But nevertheless, I will exercise proper judgment. It may pain me, but you're doing this to yourselves. So if you're gonna look up to me and blame me, I'll just tell it to you straight. You did this to yourself because I didn't ask you to go in a I didn't ask you to go in a murder, rape, pillage, conquest. You guys took that to your own volition. You did it for no reason except for violence and greed. This is your culture. You are lovers of violence. You are greedy people. You destroy people and take what's theirs. That is why I'm having 10,000 soldiers and and a bunch of thousand more to end your cruel conquests for good. Like for good. You're just freaking dead. The hundreds of years of hardened, unrepentant hearts made them guiltier, not less guilty. See? Leveraging from this while tackling theodicy is a bad place to draw arguments. Item letter C. Now go and attack Amalek. God could have judged Amalek directly as he did against the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Yes, uh, fire and brimstone. But God had a special purpose in this for a special nation, Israel. He wanted it to be a test of obedience for Saul and all of Israel. Now, I don't know about the rest of Israel, but Saul was being self righteous. Plus, I mean, we all know what happened here. Saul spelled the king of the Amalekites. So, plus, since Amalek's sin against Israel was a military attack, God wanted to make the judgment fit the sin. Yes, such predicament of the Amalekites is fitting. The judgment was fitting. This is what you did. This is how you get treated. Now, if you're going to leverage from the golden rule, why didn't you think of it to practice it first, right? Now, letter item I. Would God call His people today to fight such a war of judgment? God has a completely different call for Christians under the new covenant than He did for Israel under the old covenant. Though God no longer calls His people to take up arms as instruments of His judgment, it does not mean that God has stopped judging the nations, correct? But we cannot suppose for a single moment that the judgment of the nations is to be altogether relegated, appointed to the final day. Throughout the history of the world, the nations have been standing before Christ's bar. Nineveh stood there, Babylon stood there, Greece and Rome stood there, Spain and France stood there, and Great Britain is standing there today. One after another has had the solemn word, depart, and they have passed into destruction, which has been absolute and terrible. By Mayer. Lange commentary. The complete extermination of the Amalekites, persons and property, as a righteous judgment of the holy God, as is intimated in the noted considered of 1 Samuel 15 verse 2, is enjoyed on Saul. and joined on soul. The phrase "put everything under the ban," this is the exact meaning of the Hebrew "utterly destroy," is explained by the following parallel phrases to mean slaying, the inferior being put last in each member, and the both and expressing complete destruction without exception. The ban of which we have here a notable instance, was an old custom existing probably before Moses, but formulated, regulated, and extended by him. In its simplest form, it was the devotion to God of any object, living or dead. The object thus devoted was called sharem, from to separate, set apart from common use. And from the noun comes, according to Ewald, the Hebrew, to make, I think this graph, I don't know, to make a thing, sharem, put under the ban. When an Israelite or the whole congregation wished to devote to God anything, man, beast, or field, whether for the honor of God or to get rid of an injurious or accursed thing, it was brought and offered to the priest, and could not then be redeemed. If living, it must be put to death. A deep consciousness of man's sin and God's holiness underlay this law. The wicked thing, contrary to the spiritual theocratic life of God's people, must be removed, must be committed to him who was the ruler and judge of the people. And so the custom had a breadth of use as well as of meaning in Israel, which it never had in other nations. A city might be devoted, or a whole nation by vow of the people, or by a command of God. In such case, all human beings and cattle were to be slain, all the spoil to be burned, the land was to like everything about Amalek was just to be ridded off. Like the culture of Amalek, the remains of Amalek, all that stuff. Hang on. So, hello, Rob. Welcome. I don't know. Yes, I guess that would be the case, but I don't know. I mean, that was a long time ago. So I wouldn't say he looks at a pimp. But if you were acting like a pimp, then I guess he would call you out for it. In the same manner where if he sees I mean, yeah, there is that, if Christ is living in you, then God only sees the perfection of his son. But it doesn't mean he won't call out for your wrongdoings. I mean, if you're acting like an idiot, then he will call you out for being an idiot. And that kind of judgment falls to both you and me and everybody else, because God isn't a respecter of persons. He judges anyone, just anyone, and he's worthy to do that because he's the only man without sin. And here you have the demonstration of the Amalekites, where, I mean, it could have been the case, they would have been forgiven. But here they are, that the Amalekites were just demonstrating to be wild beasts. They're just, this was their whole lifestyle, and they condone this. But I'm not going to give a lot because I'm using this for a video where I compared the condoning of the hedonistic cultures of the Japanese regime during World War II, and how the Amalekites would relate to all this. So I'm not gonna disclose everything. So I'm just gonna stop it there. Oh, stretch. Mm. Oh, let's just do a interjectory. You have to be careful, basement drill. I learned the hard way. One day I was having fun on the YouTubes, and the next purple haired things showed up at my job. Really? So, is that true? Did that really happen? Lucky my boss is cool and ran them off. That's why I changed my handle from my name. Oh, so there were those scummy type of people too. And your boss was just handling it. I see brethren live at 3:45 a.m. in the UK. I've done my rounds at Bro Bruce. Graham, so hi Boki. Wait, what happened there, Ben? What do you mean rounds? I mean, I came across Praise's stream, and I came across Praise's stream, and he was going at Graham for being a snake and just leveraging from the so-called worm word arms. Yeah, some atheists. Oh, really? So the same guy who says be better people is the same guy who is telling these people or is not doing anything to tell these people not to do what they do. I mean, I mean, he even had some guy show up to Will's wife's workplace. It was there for. I mean, that was in a stream where Smoke he had, but not but not that's that's since been deleted. Yeah, it's a scummy little thing to me. Like, what with that? What's the point of like what? Just because you couldn't handle a random internet conversation, what do you do? You freaking what? You try to find dirt? Is it when they're uh no he no the last time I saw the last time I saw Ben is that the last time I saw Ben contending. I mean, I don't think he was in his channel, but it appears that he was he was going at him. Hey, hey, Dave. Have you been using sock accounts lately on Dr. Kenny's stream? And everybody's there in the video I just uploaded, and and then everyone is telling me that sock account who was at Dr. Kenny's stream yesterday was you. They're telling me that that was you. Hey, Dave. Yeah, Dave. I published a video where in the end it had the words of "Can you dig it, sucker?" And then when I woke up early this morning, I've been inside. I've been outside in the mosquitoes. Right? Oh, really, Dave? You've been outside in the mosquitoes. Yeah. They're making a claim that you came in with thick shades alias and you're disclosing you know what, let's because I need to know because you're telling me to remove the video because you came in there with they say that you were impersonating thick shades in in that alias in Dr. Kenny's stream where he says, "Oh hey chef, what's going on? I have pinned the link if anybody wants to come in." So yeah, I have a lot. I mean, Cheryl, and yeah, yeah. You know what? Concerning that, yeah, sure. Let's have a Christian public court of opinion. Yeah, I was also yeah. I'm willing to take the stand. Of course you are, Dave. You are willing to take the stand. I mean, to give you some gist of it, they're just saying that during Dr. Kenny's stream yesterday, you came into the stream and then you, yeah, I saw you there first with your original account, but he said, but then you have Cheryl, Ben, and Sam saying that uh, it was a sock account. They were saying that that sock account is you, and yeah, I granted that you do troll the ass cult, which is in the spectrum of Ben's and Praise's channel. But for you to do it on Dr. Kenny's stream, no, that's something I didn't think was possible. So although the evidence was like kind of pointing to you, uh, but then again, why would you do that? Why would you troll Kenny's stream, right? With an Uncle Sam I am sock, right? So yeah, I'm just trying to. I love trolling the ass cult. Yeah, yeah, we know that. I have to review hours of video and spend the next 2 days looking into the contention. We can have Ben, the arbitrator. Yeah, I miss Numi. I miss Numi. Let's bring the honorable Judge Numi back. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm gonna close the stream now, and then yeah, Dave. Let's have a Christian court of public opinion. I'm gonna chime into that myself because I'm also under fire. They're telling me that I had to take my video down because somebody who is probably, according to Thick Shades, is impersonating him and saying that he's spilling the beans, that Rob is going to do this, Rob is going to do that, and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, it seems that nobody wants to do a bit of an open hangout, so I'm just gonna 86 to stream. So that was Christian ethics on Daniel 6, and we will and we read a bit of a gist of what we will have on the events of First Samuel 15 versus the Japanese regime. And yeah, closing message. Dave totally wasn't running his own stream when the sock of Thicky impersonated Thicky. Oh, wait, is it somebody else then? Is it somebody else? Hang on.
I'm
Hey,
over on
Dave.
my. We're live over on mine right now. If you want to stop over.
Yeah, I'm gonna go stop over there, but I
Yeah,
gotta
I'm
go
double
do some open
broadcasting, so
streaming.
it's probably not going to work. I just thought I'd jump in here for a second. I got all sorts of background noise.
Right, right, right.
So
Well, I'm about to eat
yeah, do
and
whatever
have
you got to
some.
do. We're just hanging. Me and Andrew are just hanging.
Yeah, I'm gonna go chime in there later.
All right, I'm going to bounce out
But
because I got
before
so
that,
much
I just gotta
background
say,
noise and reverb going here. It's ridiculous.
mhm. No, it's Thicky impersonating. Really, basement? Thicky impersonating Thicky? Huh. Yeah, Shannon. Uh, Dave is live. Dave is live. I mean, I don't want to take these kinds of contentions here. I just want to make it as a. I just want to make it as a Bible reading stream. But unless if I make it the motive that we will have this kind of contention in a stream, never trust anything. Oh, look, Nicholas Whitmire's mom is here. Yeah, never trust anything Cheryl has to say. Well, I don't know, but I don't know about them guys. I mean, I don't know who Cheryl is, but I don't have beef with her either. But if what you're saying is true, then I'm not going to trust him. Think he will have conversations with himself often. Peace to you. Yeah, Ben. Peace to you. I hope. Yeah, peace to you as well, Ben. I hope. Just stay away from all this contention. I mean, I already put myself under fire there. You don't want to be in the receiving end of that. But I know you guys are just wanting me to erase the video. But other than that, if it's not true, then why do you want me to delete it? Like I mean, there is that time where you could use that to smear me in a freaking stream. I mean, if that's true, but then again, yeah, Dave will. I mean, Dave does troll the ass cult with an Uncle Sam I am alias, but then again, if that were Dave, then why would he do it in Dr. Kenny's stream? I mean, to me, that is unthinkable. I mean, for the life of me, in my angle, all he does is troll you with that sock in either Ben's or Praise I Am's or even Thick Shade stream. But now I have people telling me that Thicky is impersonating Thicky. But anyway, that's besides the point now of this stream. So I hope you guys enjoyed. A replay will be available soon. You can look up in the sources and the Bible reading I did. We will be having a video about Numbers 5, talking about how Numbers 5 is a bad uh, part in Scripture for pro-choicers to draw their arguments from. And Ben, okay. Yeah. Bye, Shannon. I'll go chime in Dave's stream. I just got to go have some lunch first. So, okay. People, don't take your salvation for granted. I hope you guys enjoy. I will see you again Thursday. Christ be with you. And I am signing off in 3, 2, 1.